Evening. It's great to see all of you who come regularly, and new people and old people I haven't seen in so long who have reappeared on the screen. It's wonderful to see. So yeah, great. So tonight we are still sort of excited about spring and celebrating springtime and and beginning to deal with what emerges in the spring. Well, all kinds of things pop out of the ground, right? Which were dormant and now come back into our lives. And so it's similarly, things come up psychologically, emotionally in the spring that were dormant. And so last Sunday, we talked some about, different people talked about what was emerging for them in this springtime and what were the challenges in dealing with those things. So it's a great opportunity. I've noticed that spring is kind of coming to a close here, and we're beginning almost to move into summer. And so it's interesting that in this early spring, when things are just coming up, you can dig them up and put them in a new place and they don't miss a beat. But if you wait longer, it becomes more difficult and they aren't so amenable to change. So we have this opportunity in the spring when things pop up that we can shift them and put them in a new place and have them grow differently if we are paying attention and want to do that. So yeah, it's a time for that. So we're gonna kind of go inward and close our eyes. Make sure you're in a comfortable position. With your spine aligned and your body relaxed, so that you can enjoy the meditation process. And when you get your posture all situated, then you can close your eyes and turn your attention inward. So we're making a transition from being preoccupied with the world around us to becoming focused on what is happening within. The yogis call it withdrawal of the senses. Instead of directing the senses outward, we direct them inward and see what we observe. So the first thing you may observe is that there are parts of your body that aren't all that comfortable and might be complaining, So you want to address that. Usually discomfort is associated with tension, tightness, places that aren't really relaxing. So you might scan your body to locate those spots. And then you can decide whether they really need to be tense to maintain your posture, or whether they don't, which is usually the case. And then you can allow them to relax if they're not really necessary. Just imagine that you're sort of melting into the posture. And once you begin to feel at ease, you can turn your attention to the breath. This practice is called breath awareness. And while it sounds really simple to the point of being boring, it's really not, because the breath is extremely complex. So if you're new to observing the breath, you might consciously look at what is the rate of your breath, fast or slow. What is their rhythm? What is the rhythm of the breath? Or is it irregular with no rhythm? What part of your body expands when you inhale? And what part of your body contracts when you exhale? The breath brings vitality, energy into your body. So the question is, which parts of my body are being fully energized and revitalized? And which parts of my body aren't getting that? For instance, can I feel the activation of the breath extending into my limbs, my arms, my legs? Can I feel the breath moving into the back of my chest, not just the front? And when I bring my attention to that area that's not getting revitalized, energized, the breath tends to follow and go there too. So there's a dance between the breath and the awareness, the consciousness. So you can explore that for a few moments. When you shine the light of consciousness into one of those neglected corners, the breath rushes in there too. We call that dance the dance between Shiva and Shakti. Shiva being the light of consciousness. And Shakti being the vitality of the breath, the spontaneity of the breath, the power that the breath brings. Just keeping your attention focused on the breath and its dynamics. And see what you discover. Which flow feels the most delightful? What do you do that shifts the flow? What seems to be your automatic habit? And then as you play with the breath, notice if there are any images that appear in your mind's eye, any faces or memories or emotions. Figures, colors, snapshots from the past. Just notice if they pop up. They might not. And if they do, just allow them to be there and continue to explore the breath. Curiosity is your great ally. And the subtle energy, prana, as it's called by the yogis. is your great resource. The energy that you can use to restructure your inner space. It's spring. Let's move the furniture around. Better to catch the sunshine. Make life easier, more fun, more gratifying. Beginning to plumb the depths of complexity that the breath entails. That energy of the breath, that prana, we all draw from the same pool of prana. Moves through us, through plants, through animals, through the sky, earth. It's life-giving. As we focus on it, we are moving in, our awareness is moving into a different structure of consciousness. Consciousness of the vital nexus, that is the network that connects all living things. It's not about logic It's not about intellect. It's not about stories. It's about the dynamic flow of life, energy moving and connecting. Some call it eros. And the yogis say, if the subtle energy moves like a kite, the breath is the string that can nudge it to go this way or that. Can't control it, but it can nudge it. Invite it. And spring is when the vital force awakens. From its slumber. Bringing back to life all kinds of things that had gone dormant. And when you hear that, what comes up for you? It's not that you don't have to put it into words. That may not even be possible. This is actually a wordless realm. What a relief. Riding the wave of the breath. not knowing where it will take you. That can be delightful, or that can be terrifying. I suggest going with delightful. If you need something to hold on to, you can go with so hum. So on inhalation, hum on exhalation. Steady the boat a bit. But enjoy the ride. It's the ride on the waves of life energy. Enjoy and be grateful. Grateful for being in a human body on planet Earth. It's a great adventure. Don't let worries and fear ruin your sojourn here. Focus on the breath. riding the breath, seeing what you see within the inner world. You don't have to analyze it. You don't have to verbalize it. You don't have to do anything except be awed and entertained and grateful. So we're going to gradually begin to exit this meditation, gently, slowly. And a good way to do that is to bring your attention to the heart center, on the Hatha chakra, letting go the breath for now. You can put it back on automatic pilot, or you can continue to be aware of it in the background. The latter being most helpful. But becoming aware of the heart center. That very crucial spot where the descending light of consciousness encounters the upsurge of Shakti, of energy from the lower chakras. Here at the heart. You're gradually expanding your awareness from the heart center out to your right arm, out to your left arm, up to your head, down to your feet. Not leaving the heart center, just extending awareness outward. And now remembering the surface of your body, your interface with what's around you. You can gradually move your fingers and toes a little. Move your head from side to side. If you wish, you can raise your hands to cover your eyes. Let your palms cover your eyes. Take a moment to enjoy that total relaxation of your eyes. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes, letting your gaze follow your palms down to your lap. And then when you're ready, you can look around. Oh yes, back to this world. And take a few moments to unfold your limbs and maybe give them a little bit of feet massage, your legs, your whatever's asking for it. And taking a little time to come back. And if you would like to share something about your experience or ask a question or make a comment, that's great. All you have to do is unmute yourself and then say your name and speak up. If someone's speaking, you have to unmute yourself first. Everybody's very quiet.
Rudyji, this is Karen.
Yes, Karen.
Thank you.
Muted, I think.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I'm not on mute. You can hear me? Yeah.
Battery 100%.
Our mechanism. You weren't muted. We just didn't have the sound on. I can hear you now.
Oh. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for that meditation. I guess I just want to say I felt an aliveness in me that I have not felt for years. And it was your guidance and about spring and the breath. I turned off my video because I was afraid I might fall asleep. That would be embarrassing to me. So, but I didn't fall asleep at all. It was absolutely amazing with just this pure aliveness that was incredible. Thank you.
Yeah, that is our birthright.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what we're here for, is to experience that aliveness and then do things with it, and we get busy and forget that that's who we are and what we have at our disposal. So it's so important to remember and touch back in. And that's why meditation can be so helpful. If you just sit down and quit being busy and be quiet, and you start reconnecting with that aliveness, and that's wonderful and juicy and delightful. And spring is when we should enjoy that and really take advantage of the seasonal shift leading us.
I think hearing you say that it's our birthright and maybe never having known that before. So thank you.
Yes, somehow we get the message that, well, oh, you don't deserve that, or well, you shouldn't be, you got other things to do, you don't have time for that. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
So we reprogram ourselves to be able to really enjoy being alive.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for those comments. Well, our time is almost up. Anybody else have a comment or a question? Everybody's very quiet.
Rudy, it's George.
Yes.
I found myself sitting a lot with, I went to see my father, who found myself sitting tonight with the fact that among the new beginnings, he's failing. And it just, because of a head injury, he's no longer, it's sort of like the old, his old self would be mortified at the behavior of his new self, or current self. And I found that very sad for springtime. It seems to run against it somehow in the rebirth.
Well, you have to let go the old in order to move into the new.
Yeah.
And that process looks disturbing for those of us who are still in the old. We're still doing the world. But when it comes time to leave this world and go into a new adventure, you have to kind of let the old habits fall apart and disassemble. And I'm always kind of struck by when people say, oh, she's failing. And then they say, oh, she passed. And it's like, yeah, you're failing at this world, but you passed. And now you get to graduate into the next world. And so it doesn't have to be seen as sad. I think it disturbs us because we fear that happening to us, but we can learn from those who are going through the dying process. We can learn about how to let go and how to move on into uncharted territories, which can be very frightening. Or, as I was saying before, it can be kind of exhilarating. I know it's a leap for us, the way we've been socialized and taught as young, to consider it exhilarating. But there are people who do leave in that spirit, like, okay, here I go, and this is like the greatest adventure yet. So what we can offer those who are leaving before we do is the permission to go and the respect for how tricky it is to let go of the body and move on, and our heartfelt support in that process. Many people have said to me that being with someone who was dying was one of the most beautiful and amazing experiences they ever had. And it's that miraculous moment, like birth and death, are these miraculous moments that show us that this is only a temporary thing here we're doing. And there's some other things that are that dwarf it in a way. So we're awed. We're awed when birth occurs. We're awed when death occurs. And some of you've heard me say this before, but it struck me that at one point in my life, it's sort of like you're watching a movie, and you're so involved in the movie, and it's so real, and the characters are like people and then all of a sudden it says the end, and the screen goes blank, and the lights come up in the theater, and you look around like, oh, what happened? And so there's sort of that's sort of part of the dying thing. It's like, oh my God, it felt like it was going to go on forever, but it doesn't.
Mm.
Yes, Linda.
I have a coaching school, and one of our students passed about a week ago, and we did a gathering, and the woman that was with her at the very end said that it was the most, and she's a nurse, so she's seen a lot of people die. She said it was the most miraculous death she's ever seen. And this woman, her name is Lizzie, and she had talked to a priest and then hung up, and then she looked at this woman that was taking care of her, and she said, "Here I go."
Right.
And that was it.
Yep. Yep. Well, we'll all get our chance to do it. But not yet, not yet. Don't be in a hurry. If the word ever gets around about how totally immersed in unconditional love we become once we leave the body, then everybody would be rushing for the exit. So, we have to kind of not play it up too much. But really, it isn't anything to be afraid of. Well, oh yes, so time. I guess we're out of time. But thank you all for coming and joining tonight.
Thank you.
And it was quite enjoyable for me. I hope it was for you too. And I'm going to turn this over to Daryl so he can tell you more about what's coming later.
Yes. Very quiet group tonight.
Yeah. Pensive.
Pensive, yes. Yes, next week we'll be doing a satsang. As I said before, we'll put a topic in the invitation, so look for that. And yes, this was recorded, so you can find it on our YouTube channel, Dancing Shiva YouTube, Dancing Shiva Tantra YouTube. And you can unmute and say goodnight to each other and all of us together. And thank you all.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you so much. Oh yes, happy Mother's Day.
Yes, thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Nice
Good
to see you
night.
again.
thank you, Garo. Thank you, Swami Ravi.